One Up Network Radio, and you're listening to the One Up Yours podcast. This is your host, Garnet Lee. Got my partner in crime here today with me, fresh back from GDC, John.
Hi.
He's doing that silent thing again.
I'm very tired.
Yeah, still recovering from yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah,
well, more last night than yesterday.
Yeah, and before we go any further, I have to apologize. We're a little late getting on the air. We're a little late getting all this done because I had to go to the house for a second, clean up for a minute, and getting back here in the rain, bus lines, everything. It just
No one cares about your trip to work.
No, this is. I know they don't. This is my apology to you guys. So
okay.
I apologize for being late. And with that, I'll let our two guests introduce themselves.
Sure. This is Sam Kennedy, the editor-in-chief of One Up.
And Shane Bettenhausen, the executive editor of Electronic Gaming Monthly.
Thanks for coming together, guys. So let's dig into the first part. We're going to do the what you playing thing. And I don't think we can go much farther into this without starting to talk about Oblivion.
I had to go 2 days cold turkey.
Yeah, so you're ready to go home.
Going to play it.
I was going to play it, and I didn't think I was going to get into it very much. And I played 5 hours the first day, and then another 5 hours the second day. And then I went to GDC. And now I feel like I'm missing out on something. So it's so good.
So you're really looking forward to
really looking forward
I didn't
to
get to read
again.
your article about the PC versus a 360.
You know what? John and I had a lot of fun writing that. We wrote that with Jen. We didn't wind up doing it exactly PC versus 360. We wound up talking more about just like what the first few hours has been like playing the game.
Oh, okay.
So what I found with it is if you follow the main quest, it has some, I guess, lessons from 24. Because every time you ever reach any kind of resolution in the game, you only ever really reach like a 90% resolution of anything because some bad stuff has already started already. So every time you get into that sort of like, oh, I did it. There's never that, okay, I'm just going to wander around and see what to do now. There's always the next bad thing has started and you have to go and do that. So it's really difficult to stop playing because of that.
Which is really what that game needed for me, because I always go into those games and do what I did with my first character in this game, which is walk outside the door the first time and then just start messing around. And
But you're kind of doing, you're not really, you haven't been playing the main quest that much, right?
No, I haven't. Yeah, I've been doing other things. Like I did the side quest I was telling you about, which was really...
I've not even been to the city yet. You and Jen went to Imperial City. I've walked through the grassy fields and, killed some animals and then got straight into the main quest and...
So are you using the quick travel, or are you actually traveling over land?
No, when I came out of the sewer, I was sort of so impressed with how pretty everything was. I walked to the first main quest point.
That's a long walk.
Which took a bit longer, but it was very attractive. It was quite relaxing until that wolf chased after me and the crab and the man with the big sword.
The wolf. So I think that everyone hits the wolf attack because it seems to be like right outside that entry.
My dog didn't like that.
Yeah.
It makes it not
Yeah,
very
my dogs didn't like
friendly
it too much
dog
either
noise.
because. So I've been using marksman skills a lot, and I took the wolf out with the bow. And when you take him out with the bow, the physics kicks in a little bit ridiculous, and it hit the dog, and the dog whined and went rolling down the hill down into the river. It was rather comic.
Is anybody playing the PC version? Because I heard it looks a lot better, actually.
I am playing the PC. I'm playing playing the two versions of the PC version. One here on the Uber computer we have, and one on my home machine, and. It looks a little better. It looks a little better by virtue of the resolution, So I'm playing at 1280 by 1024, so that's pretty. The texture maps, though, they're all definitely done for high res for HD television definition,
really?
but not higher than that. So it looks good, but I don't think that it looks tremendously better.
I heard the pop-up was better. The less pop-up on the PC. But
You were saying the little load times were better, too.
Well, no, the load's great because it's very smooth streaming. I still have to see the little loading sign that pops up.
There's load burp, but we found there's a fix for load burps on the 360. Which,
that's right.
Which apparently, if you reboot the 360 and hold down one of the face buttons, it rebuilds the hard drive or something. Like
what? Huh?
I didn't know this.
Did you call tech support?
No, there was
What?
some post from Bethesda or something, and they said that the 360 hard drive, when it's like kicking, it gets really fragmented, and the way to fix it, you defrag it by holding down one of the face buttons, and then you let go when it gets to the Bethesda logo.
Did you use a Norton Utilities for that? Xbox 360?
I think it's like a caching thing because I think the Xbox caches like the last 4 games you played. And so that wipes the cache out. So I guess it opens more cache space or something.
But the burps were only bad when I was on horseback, which the guy said, go to the stable, take a horse. So I did, and apparently
just didn't notice that red hand.
Apparently I stole it. So then when I got off the horse in the village, everyone just started wailing on me.
So whenever you're playing a game, everything has like an icon, like a hand icon when you grab it. If it's red, that would be thievery. If it's white, then of course you're good to go.
I should have read the manual. I guess.
Yeah, RTFM. Maybe they should have put a little more descriptive tutorial in there. I mean, you do play an entire section of tutorial, but it doesn't give you a whole lot.
But I'm glad it didn't, because I hate that stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
But you don't read the manual either.
Okay, so you're exposing a weakness in my system, but those really sort of hand-holdy first hour of the game telling you what to do things, you're like, yeah,
I like
right,
the option of a
yes,
tutorial.
Yeah.
I don't like things that force you into this sort of, okay, now you look using this stick.
Okay, so I like it when they do it like the Perfect Dark style or the Halo style, where you're in there, you look around for a minute, especially Perfect Dark, where it seamlessly sets up your stick orientation without you knowing about it. It says, oh, so do you like using it like that? Yeah, okay, let's go on with the game.
But I found everything in Oblivion to be pretty intuitive.
It's very intuitive, except for the whole thievery thing.
But, that was just me being stupid.
I think that the game kind of pushes you into thieving anyway. I mean, that's certainly something.
It has a whole bounty system, so
Right.
But it's not immediately apparent. It doesn't say, "Oh my God, you have a bounty of $1 million on you." You just notice that people don't like you, and you turn up holding a bag with swag written on it into a town.
So follow up from last week. Now, how long? Now that you've started playing it, how long do you think it'll be before you fall out of love with it?
Oh, I don't know. See, I want to play Graw too, and I'm so obsessed with Oblivion. I haven't played. It's weird. My friends list on Live a couple of weeks ago, all anyone was playing. I turned it on, and everyone that was online, it just said Graw. It was Graw or 360 Dashboard was all I ever saw. Now when I turn it on, all it says is Oblivion. So I think everyone's moving from one game to another.
I find it utterly incomprehensible that you're complaining about having too many Xbox 360 games, John.
Well, I have two, but they're just both big
I
time
thought you
sucks.
weren't going 360 hater this time.
No, I'm not hating. No.
There are
It's a tough room. Sorry, I just had to pop that.
I also, I would quite like to play Burnout, which I played a little bit of, but I'm so distracted by Oblivion that.
Okay, it's fair enough.
Well, I've been playing Brain Age, which is a much an easier game to play. I played it at GDC every morning because you can play it on the go. And we all got a free copy of it.
Are you
much
more intelligent than you were previously?
Slightly, but yeah. After this week, I'm probably lost in intelligence.
It is really excellent. I played it for a really short time, and you really do feel like you're.
Yeah. Well, what's amazing, I was playing on the bus on the way to work. And I usually don't play DS on the bus because it's embarrassing. But this time I decided I'm going to play it. And two adult people, a man and a woman, asked me what I was playing, which is stunning to me. They saw me doing math and what are you playing?
So what is your brain age?
It's 42 currently.
I was getting pissed off though. It didn't recognize my 4s.
The 4s and 9s are the only.
You have weird writing, Sam.
I know. And I'm a lefty.
And you're a lefty, so it has no idea what you're doing.
If you watch when you're writing, you can see how it is interpreting your strokes.
Brain Age is lefty friendly though, right?
I don't know.
You can flip it upside down.
Oh,
it asks you. You might just grab somebody when you.
Yeah, no, I was just playing it quickly.
It'll ask you and it'll flip the whole thing around.
Okay. No, it was actually really funny because I started getting really frustrated, and then I just drew a middle finger, and I got it right. It was a number 1.
That's fantastic.
Well, shows you where their thoughts were there, maybe, or something.
So what have you been playing, Sam?
Oh, Loco Roco. I was playing it at GDC, and then I downloaded it to my PSP and took it with me, and I've been playing it since. So
does that? How long does the demo last?
10 minutes or so.
No, but I mean,
level.
is it on your card or does it expire?
Well, if you leave it on sleep, it'll stay.
Yeah. So as long as you don't go back to the menu or turn it off.
Okay, so it's Loco. Your PSP is now a Loco Roco machine until
mine too,
and it'll probably remain so until the game comes out.
It's cool. It's really cool that Sony's publishing that. It's not the kind of game they usually would do. It's really quirky and experimental.
Well, I've been sending them emails every month for since TGS, basically telling them that they have to and that I want to see it.
It's cool there because I heard they might not. So
it's crazy. It's like a superized version of one of those old desktop widget things that you had at your office, that was like those acrylic boxes with colored oil and water in it. And you turn it upside down, you'd be watching the oil drops go through it. That's the concept behind the whole game.
I think the art looks really neat. It's just weird.
It's the happiest game ever.
It is totally.
I think the music's a little too insane, but that's just.
Oh, I love it.
The Christmas theme music.
Yeah.
When's it out? Do you know?
You heard fall. I heard June. It's June in Europe. Maybe it's fall here.
Summer.
It'd be nice if it was. There's no reason why it couldn't be localized and it's just there's no text.
You know what else you can pick up from that game is how amazingly awesome the character design is, but it's so simple. It's like the character design is just this
Blob.
the blob,
Yeah.
but it's got this expressions in the face
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
whole style to it, and that's what good characters need. Is they need a feel and a style and details to them. They don't need super photorealism to be memorable.
Well, another cool, simple game that we were playing at GDC was New Super Mario Brothers. It was. I hope you all played it. It's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that
It's
was
a lot better
really
than it was
good.
at E3. At E3, I wasn't sure, and now it's really neat. It's a nice little homage to the original, but it's different. It's fun. Yeah, it's a good game.
I enjoyed walking up and actually getting. That's the first time I had gotten to get up close to the size of the Revolution too.
Yeah, it was a lot smaller.
Yeah.
For some, like I saw it before, but I mean,
It's like the
guess I
size
was
of a big
surprised.
wireless router.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just.
I'm still not totally. So, what do you think now? Now that you've sat there and looked at it, what do you think? Is the nunchuck thing really going to work? I'm still not sold on that.
I've heard people who've tried it with FPSs. It's brilliant.
Really?
Yeah. That's what I heard. People think it might be too tiring with an FPS where you shoot a lot. It might lots of movement. You might get really
Right.
tired. But I think something like Resident Evil would be ideal for.
So what I was trying to sort out is if you're doing it. So if you're right-handed or whatever your strong hand is, do you put the stick in your strong hand
Yeah.
and the motion detector in your left, or vice versa?
You put the stick in your weak hand and the motion detector in your strong hand.
Okay, and so with the motion detector, you're like looking around,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then
And
shooting.
you're steering with
You're
your
just
left.
steering.
So
Right.
it's not mouse keyboard. It's more like a joypad.
yeah, it's much more like a joypad. I'd maybe just have some adjustment time to it.
Yeah, I think they'll be, for every game on Revolution, it's going to be like learning how to ride a bike every time.
Yeah. I loved Iwata at GDC.
Oh,
I thought he was awesome.
He's awesome again. I think he topped himself. You really believe in his conviction. He's such
Absolutely.
He loves games. He loves making games. He
It was
cares about
and
it.
what he said was exactly what GDC, because GDC was.
Yeah.
This place is getting. I mean, it was really starting to get up itself in the. Everything was bigger and grander, and it was like there was all the sort of big grand sets, and then there was Iwata saying, "We've all got to remember why we play and make games. It's to have fun."
right.
And
Yeah,
it was.
And people cheered. It was awesome.
It was like, thank God.
yeah. It was
So,
great.
so why don't we take a quick break, and on the flick side, we'll come back and we'll compare the two keynotes and maybe talk a little bit about Will Wright and what's coming up next. You're listening to the One Up Yours podcast on the One Up Radio Network. We know you have ears because you're listening to this show, but you also have eyes, and you might want to check out this little thing we'd like to call the One Up Show. You may have heard of it, you may not have heard of it, but if you have or haven't, you should check it out. It has its own space in our network as well. It's put on by Ryan O'Donnell and the rest of the fabulous video team here, so give us a watch, the One Up Show. All right, and we're back, and we're going to talk some about the keynotes now, which we were just starting to get into there, talking about Iwata, and we also got to listen to Harrison on Wednesday. So, first up, was there a winner? Who won? Anyone?
I think
They were so different,
Iwata had
yeah.
the better, more
Yeah.
inspiring keynote, but Phil Harrison, it was a decent job. He did what he had to do. And
Phil Harrison's the
Yeah.
best person Sony has for speaking in public. He's like passionate and engaged, and like you really believe that he's, because they tend to not really sound like they're that into it. Right.
No, a lot of times
Yeah.
it becomes very marketing speak or even just business-like.
Right, and Microsoft has Peter Moore, who's like, all energy and, the marketing man. and Sony very often doesn't have that, and I think Phil's really good for that.
Yeah.
He can be Peter Moore, Katamari guy.
yeah, I felt that Phil outlined.
Garnet is holding a Katamari puppet,
Yeah,
which
puppets don't make for good radio.
Yeah.
Puppets
That's
make
what
for
I said.
great radio because he can give you the evil eye, and no one knows.
I think Garnet's still drunk.
Yeah, I think
but,
so.
But I thought Phil did a good job of outlining like the online plan and kind of like the logistics of PlayStation 3 production and marketing.
Right.
And it was
It's just
Well,
a
it wasn't- it
it's
wasn't
just a
sexy.
shame that like most of his presentation was covered last week.
That's
you
true,
know,
yeah.
so it wasn't.
But they did show a lot of games and tech
Yeah.
demos, more than they would have expected. They weren't as compelling as you would expect. I think they're saving a lot of stuff for E3. Like
Yeah.
even the best looking one I thought was Resistance, the Insomniac shooter, but that demo was 6 months old, so I'm sure the
Right.
real game looks considerably better.
Yeah, I think they opened a real can of worms by showing the footage that they did because, especially the MotorStorm this MotorStorm footage, especially the part in the car. Really, there was a sharp difference between what they showed, conceptually last year. It's the same divide they had like when they showed the Madden thing ahead of time, and then the first time you see it, you're like, what the hell is this?
But the MotorStorm did show technology that I'd never seen in games before, and people are kind of underplaying that, and like, what the deformation of the ground and splattering the mud. I've never seen that in a game.
Blah 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 blah.
Yeah. I think Sony will.
It was impressive.
It was impressive, and
it was impressive.
Yeah.
What's it do me for my game?
You'll see it.
You'll see.
You'll see. I think it was a good little teaser. Everyone's press conference is going to be doing.
I can imagine there's going to be something satisfying about, carving up grass in a car and it not just being a texture change. I mean, you're going to really feel like you're digging into stuff.
They have one where you can like virtually take your car to your girlfriend's house and like do donuts in the front yard and rut the grass.
Probably.
That would be awesome.
So which was
that's kind of a Midwestern
what was the
thing.
most impressive demo then? Or
of the PS3 stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Resistance, because it was a real game, he was playing it and shooting things, and it wasn't just like, show me this one little aspect of this technology.
I like the clouds in Warhawk.
Yeah.
So did Sam. Sam got
did.
excited about that.
Warhawk looked good too.
I'm really excited about that game.
I'm not worried about PS3. Like some people are. Like I think it's going to be fine.
Now, what gets you excited about Warhawk?
I love the original, and that one this one, it wasn't like, it didn't blow you away in terms of visuals, but
Warhawk
it just
was
looked
the
like
first game I beat on the original PlayStation. So, and I don't know. I've always really loved it.
Yeah.
You know what? For some reason, when I'm looking and talking about Warhawk, the what was the name of that Rage shooter for Dreamcast that came out right at the beginning of it that looked so good? Remember, it was really, really simplistic, but it had great graphics.
I know
someone's out there listening to this and going, I know what I'm talking about.
Expendable wasn't good.
That was the other one.
No, that was the other one.
They did 2 games at
Wild.
So Rage had the shooter out at the beginning of the Dreamcast life, and they had it out on PC also, where you flew around in a ship, and then you were like in the gunnery turret, and you also like drove tanks, and it looked all beautiful and all that. But it was about as
This was the time where you couldn't buy a graphics card without getting a Rage game with it. Yeah.
Right. Right, that's exactly.
Are you going somewhere with this? No,
I'm just saying that when I see Warhawk, that's kind of what comes to mind for me. Is that same kind of first generation?
Warhawk's nowhere near that lame.
No, you're wrong. You know what I found interesting?
Based on a 30-second demo.
Okay, at the Sony conference, the slide that I found most interesting was the slide where they compared the space of the storage medium with like the
that was a weird comparison.
But it was, I think, a valid comparison, because people continue also to underplay the importance of Blu-ray as a storage medium for games. Yeah. And I think that's going to be in 3 years. We'll be like, I'm glad they put it on Blu-ray.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and Shane will be selling us Blu-ray machines too, because
I will.
They're ready to hire him already for the Blu-ray department
and the Revolution department.
So there's no doubt. You know what? So because you did ding me with that comment last week or 2 weeks ago.
What did I say?
Over the size of storage, the Blu-ray can. And you're right in the sense that they can put it.
Wait, I'm pausing here. So PlayStation 3 online service is entirely free. You can play games for free on it. Everything's free.
Okay.
And are you looking forward to paying $50 for Xbox Live?
I'm dying to pay $50. Come on, this is such a stupid conversation.
Who doesn't think that Microsoft is going to make Xbox Live free now?
I think that Microsoft is in a tough spot.
You think they're going to continue to charge money for it? You do too.
It's Microsoft.
Do you think so too?
I think they will.
Really?
Yeah, and I think because I think what they want you to do is to keep buying those credits so you can buy Marketplace Point, and buy things in Marketplace.
I think they're going to make it free at E3. I'll take bets.
I don't think so.
I'll take bets.
You know what? Do I have to say out loud that I'm going to go with Shane on this one?
I love it.
So sucks. I kind of agree with you because, Microsoft wants to be on the leading edge. They want to be pushing consumers. They want to be thrilling consumers. Yeah. If Sony is going to throw this...
Nintendo's will be free, too.
Yeah, Nintendo's will be free.
Maybe Microsoft will do more, like, free periods of time and stuff like that to, like...
I think the ace in the hole
is... I'm going to adjust my position here. I think one of two things will happen. It'll either continue as it is now, possibly free, or a sort of more an enhanced service. So the gold has to be jacked up further, I think, in order to justify the expense.
Start letting you download TV shows and music or something. But that's
But again, if it's all micropayments instead of subscription, I mean.
Yeah. But one thing I'm not going to change my argument on is I prefer, as a gamer playing casual games outside of MMOs, but as a gamer playing console games, I prefer the Microsoft model with the server structure and the organization of it to the Sony wide open side of it.
Well, I mean, Microsoft's opening theirs now to let other companies so that they can have MMOs and stuff connecting to
Right.
Xbox Live.
And I think the ace in the hole as far as monetizing the whole thing is that those gamer points are very appealing, and I think they really want to push that microtransaction. If it gets to a point where they feel like they're losing customers because they're not free, they'd rather bring people into the system and then keep attracting them to, I need to go buy 200 Microsoft points so I can get the Graw theme for my icon or whatever.
Yeah, but another thing, I mean, in terms of the internet and these new consoles and the virtual console stuff for Revolution, when they announced the Sega and the TurboGrafx games, I thought that was huge. And I was like, 15 years ago, if you had told me I'd be playing Mario and Sonic on the same system, and
That's
it's
so
kind of
cool.
crazy. But I think it also spells trouble for Microsoft because they don't have the IP, they don't have the legacy. Like if you can on Nintendo, you can play all the Nintendo and Sega games, and on Sony, you might be able to play all the PS1 games. On Microsoft, on Xbox 360, you can play a bunch of Flash games. You can play like I'm a fish in like a Flash game I wouldn't play on a cell phone. I mean, I love Geometry Wars, and like I'm sure there will be some good games, but I think they have a tough road ahead in terms of Xbox Live Arcade versus the other two.
Right.
So that's interesting. Sam, talk about like the movie thing you were talking about at lunch today, because I thought that was a really interesting perspective on like back catalog stuff.
Wait, I'm confused.
You're talking about how the movie business. So we were having lunch today.
Oh, yeah,
At
yeah,
In-N-Out
yeah.
Burger?
Yeah, no, it's
It was
like,
a very good In-N-Out burger, by
I
the way.
love it.
Yeah, no, but it was just like I'm really, really glad that finally we're at this point where, like with movies and music, you can enjoy them always. Like you can like stuff from the 50s, 60s, whenever. It's like they don't just get thrown out.
Right.
And with games, it's always been, you play during, like all the 16-bit games are gone. The 8-bit games are pretty much gone. Like unless you're like a collector, but so it's just great to see that these games are coming back now, and they're like, it doesn't really matter when games were made; they can still be played today. Because you don't need to have, like before, you needed to have a
It makes
specific
them
console.
more like timeless. Yeah, like
Yeah,
more important and
yeah.
like legacy. It's good.
So really, really good games are still viable today.
Yeah.
Because a really, really good game is a really, really good game. I mean, we don't
Yeah.
throw out chess because it was invented years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so Revolution then, talking about Iwata's keynote, what were his hitters and what were his misses?
By the way, I loved John was sending us emails like every couple minutes from the Iwata thing. I loved everyone was signed like Iwata is awesome. Iwata is hilarious. I mean, part of it was probably because you were picturing Milky's impression of Iwata, but
Hey, don't blow that. We have to use that later.
No, but
Okay,
I think it was an awesome speech because it was entertaining. He told it in like these interweaving stories. It was funny. He had visual gags.
Yeah.
It felt human. He kept showing these developers and talking about these real people and the risks he's taking. And I mean, he kind of saved Revolution for the very end. He almost said nothing about Revolution. And that was kind of cool that it made the E3 press conference even more important. He really didn't say much.
I mean, he put a very human face on the very corporate end of Nintendo, and the fact that how the brain game had sort of it did something to Nintendo, that game and the process of putting it out and how successful it was and the relationship with retail and how that game is selling DSs in Japan and will do so everywhere.
I thought a funny part was when they forced the retail buyers to play the game, and like buyers don't want to play games; they don't even care about games. I used
It's
to work in
hilarious
retail.
that they gave 9 guys 90 days and told them not to moan about it because it was going to cut into the time they had to make the thing.
It's a hard argument to argue with, isn't it? Oh, I don't want to have my time taken away for this.
But
Well, shut up then.
the lack of
Make it better.
Revolution, because people thought he might demonstrate Revolution, he didn't, and that it still makes E3 like do or die, like because we all expect Revolution to be awesome, but like we're not sure,
Right.
So it's still up in the air.
Or as John's taking, what were you taking to calling the new machine?
I still think they're going to call it the Something Nintendo Entertainment System. There is a precedent for that word being new with New Super Mario Brothers.
At first I thought New Super Mario Brothers was a retarded name and it's asinine and stupid, but now I realize like if I told my mom, New Super Mario Brothers, my mom doesn't play games, but she remembers me as a kid.
True.
Like it has a cachet. Yeah.
How about the Nintendo Super Entertainment System? I like it.
But I don't know,
like
because I was talking to John in Japan on my blog, and he's like, they should bring back the Famicom name in Japan as well. That would be awesome.
True.
Like the new Famicom.
So between that and the back library through downloadable, boy, they just incite.
But I think they have a lot of equity in the Revolution name now.
I agree.
That's why I'm
I
just
can't think
puzzled
of a
why
better
they
name,
would change
because it really is a revolution. I can't think of a
It's
better
like-
name.
I know.
So, yeah. We'll
Neither
see.
could Prince, but that doesn't mean he didn't change. Oh, they had a lot of equity in Dolphin as well, though. So,
but nowhere near as much as they have in Revolution.
Right.
And like
Yeah.
Ultra 64 was like because they couldn't think of anything else and everything had to have a number in it back then.
Yeah.
And,
But- and Dolphin was
a
like-
code name.
Yeah.
They ended up using that.
Yeah, Dolphin didn't really describe the system or their
Or the philosophy.
philosophy
Yeah.
on it. It's just like Revolution is perfect.
Yeah. And I think Nintendo, they purposely didn't say a lot of stuff at Revolution because they still have a lot of secrets to the system and they don't want people to know about them yet because they want to wait until, Sony's showing their hand and then so no one can rip them off.
so you're saying that you think that there's still something else that we haven't?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's stuff.
Okay, what direction do you think that's going to take?
I can't tell you.
So
Shane
speculatively,
knows.
a wise one.
No comment.
No comment. This is not exactly a sharing podcast, is it? Look at him. Yeah, I know. Hey, John, can't you do something about that? You're the director.
Oh. After the mics are off.
Okay, after the mics are off, and then that's not much good for the listeners. Okay, so let's
Moving
move on
on.
then from Nintendo and Microsoft. What else at GDC stood out? What's next? What grabbed your attention?
There was a lot of talk about digital distribution.
Yeah.
That came up a lot, and partly fueled by the console stuff. I mean, Nintendo and Sony did their part to fuel that, but I think we're going to see it ramp up quicker than we thought on PC.
Do people like Steam now?
I don't. Well, I mean,
I don't know.
But the idea of it. I mean, there's
Right.
that, and then there's the direct-to-drive stuff. I mean, like, there's some DRM problems. Like, I don't know if you heard the Rainbow Six Lockdown. When you downloaded it, you were downloading the same version as everybody else, which was a bit of a problem. But once that the sort of teething problems on these big downloads are sorted out, I think it's going to come really quickly.
I wonder how many people are going to want to give up box copies, though. I mean, you guys were talking about like
Do
iTunes
you in music?
What?
Do you still buy CDs?
Well, no. I mean, we
Yes.
were actually talking
Yes,
about that
I
in
do.
the car back.
But like, would you
because-
have gone to the store to buy Geometry Wars for $5, or would you have just downloaded it?
No, I know. That's, yeah.
Milky and I had a huge conversation about this on the bus on the way home the other night because he still thinks that there's a big marketplace for brick and mortar for buying a box because of the shopping culture, because people like to go and pick up and handle things, because they like to have a box in their hand, because if they drop $50 on something, they want to pick something up and have something to put on their shelf. Right. They like the permanence of it. They don't want to have to worry about, okay, do I need this special key? And if my hard drive hard drive dies, will I still be able to download it, or are they going to give me a hassle about that? Whereas if you have the disc, you always have the disc sitting there.
I mean, I don't think it's going to replace, but I think there's room for both. I think we're all.
And there's a big
for
difference.
both, but to
with
Sam's
music.
point earlier on, but what it's doing is it's negating that disposable nature. It's like what digital download is doing is giving credibility to and viability to everything that's ever been made.
Yeah.
You're always going to be able to dip into a library. It's always going to be available. And we're going to see so many different models for how you play it. There's going to be download it and it be on your hard drive. There's going to be being able to just click on it and it'll start running, and then you turn it off and it's gone. There's like almost a sort of TV metaphor for some of this stuff.
Right.
And then, what we see now as big production, huge, fantastic games. Well, we thought Final Fight on Genesis was a huge production that could,
Yeah.
we thought Street Fighter on the SNES when it came out was like nothing. Oh, this is huge. It's like, the $100 cartridge games. And now it's like, you could download it in, a minute.
Okay, so hypothetically, if all this happens, what network is it going to run on? Because even if we all get broadband from the pole outside on the street to our house,
But 5
the
years
internet,
ago,
the
5
internet
years
we're
ago,
on
you were using dial-up. This stuff's moving
I'm not
so
talking about
fast.
that.
It doesn't matter.
Have you heard of Internet 2? It's out there. We just don't have it yet.
Well, but the Internet 2 is an educational development program that's.
So was the Internet.
So
was the Internet. And so
You're just an old funny daddy. You're stuck in it. Like, I don't want this new Internet.
I'm telling you, I would love for the current Internet to be a lot faster, but I don't see how it's going to be able to support, given the current structure. I mean, it's very much held together piecemeal right now as it is.
Yeah, figures.
All right, so we'll just screw it. It'll all work out, right?
Well, Phil. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Like Phil Harrison was saying how he imagined that all the the AAA big titles on PS3 will always be on Blu-ray, but then you could always get the downloadable stuff.
And then I think we'll see some hybrids as well. I think we'll see that maybe a game like a successor to World of Warcraft, you go and buy a core product, which is a box copy that has the books and all the support material and everything. And then everything else about it comes in episodes. So I think you might go and physically buy, the sort of doorway into the experience, and then it's supplemented by digital download.
So I like what you said there, and I think there's probably a lot of gamers who agree that they would like to see more of that stuff they used to get when they bought a box, because a lot of that stuff's gone away. The decent manual, the artwork, things like that.
Cloth map.
Cloth
Cloth maps.
Cloth maps.
More
Absolutely.
cloth maps.
Moonstone.
Well, the old Infocom stuff where, yeah, you got a lump of rock in it.
And you love when Wishbringer had a rock. I loved that.
You still have your rock?
No.
Aww. And speaking of bandwidth, something else I thought of just goes back to Harrison's thing. He showed that clip with the video chat showing up on top of the games. Even if you have broadband, you don't have that kind of bandwidth.
Yeah,
do
that
you?
seemed kind of crazy.
Yeah.
If that happens,
I
I'm
mean, it's
surprised.
great that the however many cores the PS3's processor have can
Nine.
do it. Your internet connection right now doesn't.
Not so
Right.
much.
Shu and I were talking about this when we were playing, I think it was Battlefield the other night on live, because on the 360, we both kind of agree the voice chat is not as good anymore as it used to be on the Xbox. And it's because I think they're really limiting the amount of bandwidth that the voice chat can use up versus the game.
And do you really want to be looking at someone's ugly
Oh my
mug
God,
when
no.
you're playing a game? I mean, I don't know.
A lot of indecent exposures happening.
Yeah, there's going to be a
I could
lot
see all
of,
kinds of craziness
trouser
there.
material on
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Turn that off, thanks.
Yeah, that's what I need to see when I'm in the middle of a game of Graw. Oh, it's although sounds like a trick Snake might use with a porn bag.
Hey, look at this.
Look at that! All right, that was great the first time, right? All right, so we'll come back in a minute and we'll get into our community side of this. And what else do we have, Skip? I see we have some community questions and how to find us. So we'll catch up with you in just a minute. If you like what you're listening to on the One Up Yours podcast, we also do other shows on the One Up Radio Network, including the recently started CGW podcast. You might want to check that out. It's run by CGW's own Mr. Jeff Green, and he is the authoritative source in the community for PC games info. So give it a listen and check it out. All right, guys, and we're back to do a little of the community action. Get some of you guys and gals in here with us. So Skip's printed me out some questions here. I'll throw them out here. The first one is from Hopeless Follower. And just to give you guys the cool thing, we'll actually read it. Shane's suggestion, we'll read the whole thing.
I love viewer mail.
Here's a question. Do you guys believe that the future generation video game wars will focus primarily on handhelds? It seems that with the on-the-go mentality we have developed, the type of games and other functions handhelds provides may show much more profits than more expensive home consoles. And, of course, this isn't saying that all consoles are just going to vanish or anything.
Well, it's interesting because what the DS and PSP have shown me, just personally, is that I don't actually want to play the same kind of games at my house that I do on the go, and that's why I play the DS more than the PSP.
That's
Just
a good
because,
point, yeah.
yeah, simple, quick games that are fun to play on the bus versus.
And it's why the PSP
Yeah.
needs Loco Roco.
Exactly.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
for sure.
I don't want to play through X-Men Legends 2 or Prince of Persia or Splinter
I
Splinter
tried
Cell.
to do that. I was
Yeah, I
away
just
on
don't.
vacation over
Sorry.
Thanksgiving, and I tried X-Men Legends, and it just wasn't
Yeah, it's
working.
like, some things I like to be like on a couch. Some things I like to be on a bus.
Yeah.
So I don't think so.
I'm
Hopeless-
very interested, and this is not for discussion this week. I think we maybe should do it next week. The potential Xbox handheld.
Oh,
thing.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have to
There's
dive
a
into
lot to talk about there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a segment in
Because
itself.
eventually it's going to happen, I'm sure.
I hope,
All right, so
I
you
hope
guys are
not.
hearing it from us. We'll come back to the Xbox handheld next week. So yes, there'll be a video game war on handheld, but it'll be separate from the home console.
Yep.
Because it's a different time in your life that it's fighting for. It's like a different kind of entertainment.
It's a different space.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one up is from Shem. And Shem says, here's something and I'm just curious about. With the popularity of great online websites such as OneUp and IGN, and countless others, do you see a negative effect on magazine sales? If a person can get the same info, previews, reviews, that sort of thing, in a lot of cases, more screenshots, videos, extended interviews, what will still drive them to buy the magazine? And do you see a time where EGM, OPM, CGW will no longer be needed? And are they pushing for that?
Well, I mean, EGM is bigger now than it's ever been. So there's a big part of the answer.
I can't read one up in the bathroom yet.
Right. And
do you want to?
You know what? I think, I mean, like, looking very, very long term, I think that the written word in print versus the written word on the web, I mean, there's crossover, but one is not going to supersede the other. What I think is long term going to have a big impact is portable video. And portable, I mean, things like this and things like the One-Up show on devices like the iPod video, and presumably every device that you'll be able to just click on and be able to watch a video show, because that is conducive to being in the bathroom or whatever. That, you know, you can watch 5 minutes of a program or whatever.
Private time.
John. But I mean, right now, I mean,
John and the John.
for us, I mean, it's all about having them coexist and not and not just replicating each other.
They
There's
can
things that
actually
work well.
augment each other. And,
Right.
You do have video and stuff
so
on the
could that
web.
be kind of like a regular copy of a game you bought off the shelf complementing a downloadable content?
You're right.
Yeah, and the web you get every day, and I mean, we're at a point now where if you're going to put something in print, it's got to be worth putting it in print. So it's got to be researched and worth looking. It's something to look forward to. It's you want to sit down and really dig into it.
Yeah, because they have the luxury of operating on a completely different timeline.
Right.
And if you go back and read an EGM from 10 years ago, it's changed a lot, and that is the web. I mean, the news has changed, the way people get things, the speed at which people get information has changed. And things evolve, everything evolves.
Yeah, I mean, when I was running EGM 5-6 years ago, it was all about we have to cover everything. We have to preview everything on every platform and review every game. And because GameSpot was in its, was just launching. It was part of our little group, and it was, was this going to be big or not? And EGM had to do that, and it was a big fat thing, and it was all anyone looked at for getting news out about game stuff was print, and now it's so broad.
But my personal answer to this is that I still think there's a great space for print because I enjoy having a magazine. That's the reason I take a subscription to Edge from the UK. That's the reason I pick up EGM every month. Besides the fact that we publish it, is because there's a more thought out, more researched sort of depth that you can get there. There's the high quality of the images, the artwork.
It's compared like Hustler to a porn website.
And you have both at your house, I guess.
No, but I prefer to when I read a long article, I prefer to read it in print. Actually, still I use the web more as a resource. So game comes out. I want to know how good it is. I'll go to all the different sites, 1UP and Game Tab and everything, and check out all the scores. And so I know what to do, and I know I can buy it that day. I'll be happy with it. And then in print though is when I want to just read reviews in general, not necessarily the games I'm going to buy. I just want to read reviews to know which games are good.
I think the other this is something that I noticed when Jaffe and Lorne were talking in their thing, and they started getting into the games press. When they talk about the games press, they usually only talk about print, and when they talk about print, they normally only talk about reviews. And games magazines are so much more than that.
Yes.
EGM isn't just reviews bound up in a cover. There's all these features and this stuff, and the amount of work that goes into the cover stories, and the access that EGM has because it's such a big mag. And to sort of marginalize that to being just reviews, I think is unfair and unwarranted. I mean,
it's ironic because I don't think that I'm alone in the fact that I don't look to magazines much for my reviews anymore. I look to the internet for my reviews. I look for the places besides 1UP that I trust and recognize people and know what they're writing. I go to the magazine.
Well, people in general don't consume reviews in little bubbles anymore. Right. They want to. I mean, that's why the aggregators work.
Yeah, Metacritic's huge. Game.
It's funny. I was talking to someone recently, and he mentioned that he didn't like Computer Gaming World, and he mentioned how he liked 1UP so much better because of all of our features and stuff. And I asked him to point out some of the features he liked on 1UP, and funny enough, a lot of those actually did come from CGW.
Yeah. So there you go.
All right. So
I guess no.
The answer is 42. All right, so let's follow up here with the last one here. Let's be from Lilu5. What is the best Guitar Hero song?
Lilu5 is the guy that was obsessed with Linux last week.
Yes, and now, well, he's...
Hi, Lilu.
Yeah, hey, Lilu. This is a step up from Linux. Now we're to Guitar Hero. It's huge. Yeah, I know. You were straight to our hearts there.
Sam apparently knows everyone that worked on guitar. Some guy with really long hair came up to him last night and go, dude, how you doing, man?
Yeah, that was awesome. All right, so what's the best Guitar Hero song? He personally likes Cheat on the Church and some of the bonus songs, which we know Ryan agrees with. And then follow-up would be, what would be the best Guitar Hero song ever? And he puts out there Purple Haze.
Well, you know what I think would be a really hard one? Some early Satriani.
Oh, God.
Like Satch Boogie or...
Fantastic.
Something that's really going to... Yeah.
This is just personal taste. I'm voting for Ziggy Stardust as my favorite and Stairway to Heaven as the ultimate. That should be in the game.
Just a little cliched. I don't know about
but it's like the song. You can't. It's the song you're not allowed to play in Guitar Store, so therefore it should be in Guitar Hero.
That's kind of
good logic.
Go to the Guitar Store. There's a sign, no Stairway.
Definitely some Halen.
Yeah, definitely some Van Halen. Yeah.
Also some GNR.
I thought like
some GNR.
Panama
Yeah.
or something.
GNR.
Yeah.
Or Jump would be really good.
Jump
Gotta have some
Jump
Poison.
doesn't really have any guitar parts in it, though. It has the solo in the middle.
Right. Okay.
I'm very sad. They were supposed to announce Guitar Hero 2 recently, and they pushed it back. And the announcement, I can't wait to see what's on that thing. But.
So, is there any truth to the multiple variations, like the genre specific versions?
I don't think that's the next thing we're seeing.
No.
Oh, like country karaoke revolution.
and like in Europe, there's the SingStar series, which is the karaoke thing, and rather than doing like a broad one, there's like SingStar Pop and SingStar
ultra localized. There's a Croatian version of SingStar. Incredible.
So, what's your favorite song on the current one?
What was that one that the band that we hadn't heard of, and you went out and bought the CD? I really like that one.
The Egsies, Hey You.
Yeah, I really like that one.
Yeah, that is. I really love that one also.
Yeah. No, it's so hard to pick, but I would be there too. I think.
And I enjoy playing the Franz Ferdinand song.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
I'm a bit tired of it as a song, but I enjoy playing that because you feel like you're kind of really achieving something.
Hendrix? What do you think? More Than a Feeling?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, More Than a Feeling.
Yeah, More Than a Feeling. I'm going to go with the Hendrix.
Because the thing about More Than a Feeling is you play it and then it's stuck in your head for about a week afterwards.
Yeah, it's stuck in my head. Thanks.
Too bad we lost our save. We still haven't located our save, have we? We have to find the save, or we could just play through it again. I guess that wouldn't be the worst. I don't have any other good follow-up songs, so unless you guys have anything else to throw on there.
I need some aspirin. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. All right,
so
guys.
you can tell us about Revolution stuff.
Yeah. We're gonna go rest the hangovers, and we'll be back with you next week. Come visit us on the boards, give us some suggestions, some feedback, and we'll see you next time. This has been One Up Yours, a production of the Zip Davis Game Group and part of the One Up Network. One Up Yours is hosted by Garnet Lee and John Davison, produced by Andrew Pfister and Mike Ng, and is published every Friday afternoon via the iTunes Music Store and from its home at oneup.com.